when Lila inherited her great-aunt's Victorian estate on the outskirts of Norwich. She didn't expect much beyond crumbling walls, dusty furniture, and an overwhelming sense of gloom. She had only met her great-aunt Eleanor once as a child, an odd, reclusive woman with pale eyes and a strange way of talking to things that weren't there. The will was clear. Lila was to stay in the house for no less than 30 days before she could legally sell or alter anything. It seemed like a fair trade for a centuries-old property. The house, named Ashwood Hall, creaked with age and silence. The staff had long gone. Lila was alone. On her first night, she wandered through the rooms with a flashlight. Most were covered in white sheets, but one room at the end of the second floor caught her attention. It was locked. The brass doorknob felt colder than the others, and her breath clouded as she stood before it. Inside, after forcing the lock, she discovered what appeared to be a dressing room. A faded chaise lounge rested in the corner, and the walls were lined with cracked wallpaper, but it was the mirror that caught her attention. It was tall, ornate, and leaned slightly against the far wall. Its frame was a twisted mesh of thorns and vines, carved in dark wood. The glass looked wrong, too smooth, too deep. When she looked into it, her reflection seemed slower, delayed, like watching herself underwater. That night, as wind scraped against the windows and the old house groaned with age, Lila heard a whisper. Lila, she sat up in bed, heart pounding. The sound had come from the hallway. Grabbing a candle, she opened her door and stepped into the corridor. It was empty then, softly, from the dressing room. "You look tired, Lila." She froze. No one else was in the house. By the fourth day, the mirror had become her obsession. She would sit for hours, staring at it. Her reflection would mimic her movements and its dots sometimes. It smiled when she did. Sometimes, it blinked a second too late. Other times, it spoke but no sound. It spoke but no sound came out. Just a flickering mouth that formed her name. She tried to cover the mirror with a sheet. The next morning, the sheet was folded neatly on the chaise lounge. Lila began hearing voices more clearly. They weren't just whispers now. The mirror spoke, with Eleanor's voice. "I'm still here, dear trapped. I watched you grow up. You were always my favorite. Come closer, let me see you." Lila stopped sleeping. Shadows beneath her eyes deepened, her skin paled. Food tasted like ash. The house grew colder, though the fireplace was always lit. On the seventh night, she spoke back. "What do you want?" The reflection smiled. "To be free." Lila scoured Eleanor's journals. Hidden behind a false panel in the library, she found books of mirror lore, old rituals, and a diary that chronicled her great-aunt's descent into madness, or, as Lila now feared, truth. One entry stood out. "The mirror does not show who you are, it shows who waits to become you. It listens, it learns, and if you gaze too long, it remembers your shape." Another, "I trapped her. The twin, the shadow, the one who whispered. She lives in the mirror now, but she is clever, patient. One day, she will try again." Lila slammed the book shut, trembling. Was Eleanor trying to warn her? On the 12th day, Lila dreamt of the mirror. She stood before it, but her reflection was gone. Instead, a woman in a grey dress stood on the other side, face obscured by long dark hair. The woman raised her head. It was Lila, but not quite. The eyes were hollow, the skin too smooth. She grinned, revealing jagged teeth. Lila awoke screaming. She rushed to the dressing room. Her reflection stared back innocently, but when she turned to leave, The reflection didn't move. Lila slowly turned back. Her reflection tilted its head, then spoke. "Why leave? You're home now." The glass shivered, as if rippling with water. A pale hand reached forward. Lila stumbled back, slamming the door shut. She nailed it closed, covered it with bookshelves. Anything she could find, but it didn't help. Now, the whispering followed her. From windows, from silverware, from puddles. "Lila, you're almost ready." On the 21st day, she called a priest. He came, he prayed. The mirror stayed silent while he was there. But that night, Lila found a note scratched on the inside of her bedroom mirror. "He can't help you. You're already mine." Day 20-9. Lila was a husk of herself. She rarely ate, never slept, and kept all reflective surfaces covered. She knew now the truth. The mirror didn't just reflect, it recorded, it mimicked. And now it was strong enough to break the rules. The twin, the shadow, Lila wanted to trade places. One soul in, one soul out. Lila planned to destroy it on the final day. She gathered a hammer, salt, and everything from Eleanor's journals that might help. She entered the dressing room for the last time. The mirror greeted. Her reflection stood waiting. It smiled, stepped back, and held out a hand, a whisper. Coiled around her mind like smoke. "You're tired. Let go. Let me carry the burden." Lila hesitated, and that was enough. The mirror shattered. A scream rang out deafening, like glass weeping. When the dust settled, the mirror was gone. Lila stood in the doorway, blinking. She looked calm, rested, serene, but if you watched closely, her eyes were just a little too bright. She spoke softly to no one in particular. "It's good to be free." 1 year later, Ashwood Hall was sold to a new family. The house was restored, repainted, revived. But in the attic, behind a forgotten tarp, they found a mirror, old, ornate, the glass smooth as still water, and if you looked too long into it, you might hear someone whisper your name.